Marie, and thank you so much for coming by to visit or to watch on the upload of the show afterwards. One thing I will do for you is to give you a very good reading on whatever it is that was keeping you up at night last night, or just on anything that crosses your mind that you're a little bit concerned about. I have over 40 years reading experience, usually on the first and second Monday of the week. Joseph Grych will be with me, and I'm sure that he will probably be on soon. I know that for those of you that are used to seeing me on Wednesdays, I've been doing that for many years. So this is a chance for me to be able to see what is going on in the Monday crew here. I guess I'll be starting things out for quite a few people. And one of the things that I wanted to discuss with you, as well as to be able to look at whatever concern you have in your life. And again, the number to call in for those of you that are new with me is 602-666-6027. That's 602-666-6027, or give me an in quick here. I'll be able to give you a reading on love, career, pets, crossing over, or anything that is on your mind. One of the things I wanted to discuss today was feral children. Well, what the heck is a feral child? A feral child is a human child who has lived isolated from human contact from a very young age and has no or little experience. Joseph is here. Hello,
Hi.
Joe. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine. So we're talking about Tarzan?
Well, that would seem
Well,
kind of
feral
like
children.
a take off that, but one of feral children. There are cases of feral children that are, there's actually 6 to 10 famous cases of them. And
Oh,
what I was talking about is basically a feral child is a child that was isolated from the human race. A lot of times it happens more in the indigenous areas, I think, although there was one in Russia as well. And they're usually raised by, if they're lucky enough, animals who will not eat them and will actually have to convert into the pack. It's not an easy life. I think Tarzan had it. First of all, Tarzan, I think, was like a best case scenario handsome guy that wasn't walking around like a chimpanzee, which would be
uh-huh.
pretty much out of the question if he was raised by, chimpanzees.
But I don't know if that's fiction, though, isn't it, Tarzan?
I'm I'm pretty sure it is, although the fact that
Yeah,
there
yeah.
are feral children, I'm sure that it
Yes,
was
there are.
based on that,
Yeah, I'm sure
Um,
it was based on some. It had, yeah, it was interesting. It was the original story, the one that, and the movie that came out in the 80s was one of my favorites. Although I grew up watching the Johnny Weissmuller movies, with the famous Tarzan yell, you know,
hmm
because the actor was a yodeler. He could do that. That's why. In
Yeah,
fact,
yeah, he was, didn't
yeah.
he?
But the feral children, there were a few films about that, and maybe there was one in particular that was based on a real case where it was an actual child that they found, and they studied this child, but I don't recall.
They have a
I guess
terrible time adjusting the human
well,
race.
sure,
Uh,
sure.
it's I think that once you've had to learn how to adapt to an entire different brainwave of
Uh-huh.
existence, how could you just suddenly fit in? One of these is,
Right. We're not just born being civilized humans, you know.
yeah,
It's a lot of most of like maybe 99% of what we are is taught. We have very few, we're born knowing how to do very little things. We don't have very many inborn instincts except maybe hunger, you know, and that's about it, you know.
yep. And one of them was in 1867. He was found
Mhm.
at 6 years old in India, and he was raised by wolves. And this is an
Cool.
actual account. And it says, one of the boys who lived in the Secondra orphanage was assumed to have been mentally subnormal. He was removed from a wolf's cave in 1867 when he was
Mm.
6 years old.
Wow.
He was discovered when hunters in the jungle were astonished to see a boy follow a wolf into her den running on all fours. They smoked out the wolf and her companion,
Mm.
and wouldn't you know it, shot the wolf. I mean, here she
Oh,
was, compassionate enough to take care of this child, and then it's always the case that that poor critter gets shot. I
how
would say, hey,
sad.
dude,
Yeah.
I'm not going near you. I don't want to have to
Hmm.
get shot. But it
Boy.
said he initially exhibited all the habits of a wild animal, tearing off clothing the minute they put him on him, eating food from the ground. He was eventually weaned off raw meat onto cooked, but never did learn to speak. And he
Mhm.
apparently became addicted to tobacco. Now that's
Oh
one of the
dear.
strange. But I, um, there was one that I just couldn't believe, and it was a child that was found with gazelle, and they said that they found him and clocked him at running at 30 miles an hour.
Oh, well, holy cow. Yeah.
And they said that he was emaciated, but he was so tough and so lean muscled. He was 14 when they found him. But in most of
Sinewy.
these, yeah, in most of
Hmm.
these cases, they get put in mental hospitals because at that
Oh,
time they didn't really, understand that
hmm.
what do you do with a child like that?
Well, and
So,
it's some of that wiring, once it's not established, it will never happen. You know, I don't know if they'll ever like learn how to speak, if that wiring will ever be established. You know, I know there are certain things like even your eyesight. If you take a child, if a child's in the dark for his whole life and has never seen light at all, has never seen anything, he won't be able to see. He'll be blind. Those connections won't ever establish.
right, I
But it's
believe
too
that.
late. And then it's too late. It's too late, really. Then once it is beyond a certain point, it's too late. That wiring isn't there. You know.
Right.
Mhm.
Um, we have an inquick from Melissa from South Carolina. And I do want to tell everybody, Joseph is a great tarot reader. I've been
Oh,
doing this.
thank you.
We've been doing this well, I've been doing this for over 40 years. Both of us work for Keen, and I also work for Best
I'm not.
Psychics
Yeah,
Directory.
I think
Mm,
I'm there. I'm just never sure anymore, and I'm afraid to check. But you know, I'm sure. I'm sure I still get notifications if somebody's trying to reach me through there. But we've talked about it, and we're not going to talk about it again. But they've done
no,
something odd, and I think it's because I wasn't. I must have missed something along the way with emails because I can't believe I wasn't notified that they were getting rid of, or just kind of like I don't know. My page was gone one day, but I'm not going to say
Yeah,
anything bad
they did
about them.
change things a
Yeah,
lot.
they changed things a lot, and I just wasn't aware, and I spent all this time making that page look really good and functional, and put a lot of artwork into it, and kind of fumbled around with that HTML stuff because I'm not great with it, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then all of a sudden, boof, it's all gone. And I thought, oh man, I have to go back and do this again. So I don't know what, I guess, or some program changes. And in those cases, sometimes old stuff just goes. It gets hosed. You know, I've seen it happen
Yeah.
before, and I guess you got to be more vigilant if you have a web page. You really do have to pay
You have
attention
to make
to
a
it.
copy of it. You have
Yeah,
to make a
you got to
copy of it, is what you
make a
do.
copy of it. Right, exactly. Take a
So that
picture of.
you don't want to end up, it's just the same way when you're writing, Joe. I mean, both of us are writers,
Oh,
and
absolutely. Yeah,
you want to
I've
make
got
sure
that.
that you always have a copy of whatever you're writing because it can be erased
Oh,
in a
yeah.
second.
Although it has happened where it isn't so. Very often when you get into the zone, you forget to save your work, and a
Yeah,
few minutes go by, and then a half
yeah.
hour goes by, and you write this great passage, and then something stupid happens, and something goes boof, and then it's all gone, and you can't recreate it quite in that same way
Ever the
again.
same, ever the same.
Right,
I
and
know.
it's like it's like yes, I do save my work, but not like every 5 minutes, and
Right.
sometimes it's just very upsetting, especially when you say, "Oh no, I lost everything," and of course a friend will say, "Well, don't you save your work?" It's like, well, yes,
Anymore, if I'm writing, I save paragraph by paragraph.
I do
Right
that.
now,
If
yeah.
something is getting particular, but it does throw you out of the. I don't know if there was a way to do autosave, maybe just autosave would be nice.
Right.
If you
Should we
can
do?
choose on occasion.
Yes.
What is it you
Well,
wanted to do?
so we have Emily in here, and Emily is from Connecticut,
Oh,
and we're gonna. Emily, come on in. And Emily says, I'm interested in knowing if you see employment for me in the near future. I have been out of work since December. Thank you. So I always say I like to do a quick connection reading, and I'm sure, Joseph, you do too before you answer the question. So do you have anything to say about Emily at this time?
well, I see that Emily was somebody who is always, um, she meets her challenges. She's always really risen to the occasion. I would say actually trouble sometimes is invigorating for Emily. I see at this time that I see an invitation. And since your question was about work and stuff, I do see somebody offering you a job. He's a young man. And I do see he's kind of direct, and he might be kind of flaky. He's artistic, and he might be kind of outspoken. But I do see that he's very outgoing, and I do see you getting a job offer from this person. It's an invitation. He's offering you a cup, and that's a good thing. That's a good card. A very good omen to receive that. So I do see that that's what's coming, and I'd say it's looking good. I don't know when that's going to be. I don't have. Its numbers are very hard to predict, and this,
Well,
basically,
time frames are always
time
approximate,
frames are
and
difficult.
it's
Of course, yeah. He's this guy is he's going to have his challenges, and this place will have its challenges because sometimes people have personalities, and especially if it's a creative place, you might even see more of that unstableness sometimes with some people with oversensitivities, depending on what kind of work it is and how fast-paced it is. That's something to watch out for, but that's once you get the job, and everything has its ups and downs, and you know how to deal with stuff, so you'll be fine.
right.
Yeah.
Well, Emily, I'm not sure why, but when I come up with you as a significant card, I come up with loneliness, which can indicate a couple of things in a reading. It can indicate that either you feel like you're cut off from the world at this time because you are not working, or it can mean that maybe you need to get out there and hit the pavement a little bit more, or the keys, or whatever. It shows that in the recent 2 weeks to last 2 months, there's been a sense that you have felt kind of torn between, you know what, I don't care if I ever work again, to feeling, oh my God, I'm not working. And it says now you're feeling very cut off. I guess what I'm going to say is that I do feel you will be employed, but it's going to make the difference of whether you're getting out there, whether
Yeah.
every day you're making a connection. And when I see that you're doing that, I'm showing by March, end of March, you're starting to feel pretty good about yourself financially, as well as feeling as if you're balanced and just feeling good about things. So my sense is by end of March, there is a sense that you are employed. But do get out there and look every day. It says you're
Yeah.
kind of torn between, I don't give a damn whether I work, and oh my God, I'm not working. And you just
I am
have to kind
seeing
of,
I see something like it's almost like in the present day. I see you getting an offer like really really soon, or like it's in the works, and that's
mm,
where I see that page offering you a cup. I do see that sort of thing happening, and like I said, he's kind of a strange person, but I do see that the creative thing. But I don't know, like now with Anne Marie saying like by March you'll feel like really employed, and I think that's when you're gonna feel like you're really in, like, yeah, I got this, because you
okay,
passed up
right,
what certain,
good.
what is it? Yeah, like a 3 month probation period or something like that. It's like once you pass that, you think like, yeah, I'm here. You know what I mean? It just that
Right.
I see it as something like really like happening like right away. So I don't know, or so I do see it happening like it's the present day. That's why I can't really see it. It's like it's happening. It's going to be like really soon. So I don't
Right.
know.
Well,
But yeah,
good.
but you're right.
I hope it is.
Keep looking, because that might be how you find it. Keep looking, and all of a sudden, there it is. So. And sometimes it does happen very fast. Sometimes that interview happens real fast, like expected
Right.
sometimes, because it's an unconventional person. So don't be surprised if, hey, come on in, sit down, I'll ask us, and then all of a sudden, you get in the job, something weird
Right.
like
Right.
that. Yeah, it does happen. It has been known to happen.
We have another person at the door, and we have Melissa from South Carolina, and she says, "Hi, Anne-Marie and Joseph. Love is on my mind. I
What
want to
was the name?
know if romance is on the
What's
way
her
for
name?
me this year, and if so, do you have a time frame?" Which, remember, guys, time frames are approximate. Or is there
Hmm.
anything you can share with me about the personality of this person?
What's
So,
her name?
um, I go ahead, Joe.
What's her name?
Her name is Melissa, and she's from South
Melissa.
Carolina.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's love, huh?
Yep.
Who, when, where? Oh
Yep.
my.
Oh no.
Oh my. What is this? Okay. All right. Well, I see a wild past sometimes and some choices
Oh,
being
wild
made.
guess.
Stuff that might not have been the best idea, but or maybe they weren't too bad, but you could have done without it. I do see that. Oh my. I would
Oh,
say
quit saying
in
that.
love,
That sounds so awful.
well, it just seems like you just like had a fight with somebody or split up. And actually, what I'm seeing here is that
Oh.
you're being told to forgive somebody, and it's being shown by the judgment card, and it's double X's, so it means it's 20 figures prominently, or twos. And I do see that there's been some arguments recently. So basically the thing is, this card is reminding you to be forgiven, even though, and also to move on if you must. Forgive and move on, but don't just really, like, if you want to stay, that's great. But if you're gonna go, but you have to be forgiving about this. I do see that there's some sort of a, like, an end, like this, like, it's like, oh, no, no, so I'm
Mm.
seeing that in the current day. I might be wrong there, but this judgment card's pretty strong. And it's like, it's really emotional. And just seem to even look at
Hmm.
that, you're going to have someone who wanted marriage proposal. Somebody's going to have someone who wanted attention in the near future. The thing is, go with your gut feeling. If it doesn't look right to you, just anything at all that bothers you about these people, just pass them up. And basically, you might even feel like, you know what, I'm taking a break from this, and we'll just see what happens organically. I do see that happening in the near future. It's probably like maybe the cards here are saying, if you can go on vacation and just get away from looking for people and for love for a while, and then come back with a fresh mind and just kind of like coast until it looks better out there, because right now the shopping doesn't look really good. So I'd wait. Yeah.
I would say that, do you ever get out, girl? Because what comes up to me is that sometimes you find yourself in situations where your life doesn't open up many opportunities to find love. And it shows that consequently, oftentimes because of either your schedule or you're working or whatever, that you find yourself, Melissa, um, in this state of being open and spiritually ready, but looking for that space or time where you have a moment to look. I'm shown that there is a spiritual connection for you sometime in uh, March, and it shows that it is somebody that you have a very strong spiritual connection with. I'm also shown watch out for fixing. Watch out for broken winged birds, because it shows that you may find yourself inadvertently in a relationship where you don't even mean to, but you find that you feel more needed when you're fixing someone. So your reading
Mm.
says, let the red flag wave and take your bitch pill, and remember that if you're going to have love, it's better to wait, as Joseph said, than to get yourself involved with somebody that is childlike or broken that won't necessarily stick around.
Yeah,
So
you've
I
done enough
feel
of
that you
that.
will
Yeah.
find somebody, but it's, to me, I show a dark-haired, dark-eyed guy, and it shows this guy as being a good worker, whether he's, no matter what age, he works and he's active. And there's a sense that he is seen more in the middle of summer. So that's what I have.
Hmm. Spring would be better. Summer, yeah, definitely. I'd wait. Yeah.
It is what it
Hmm.
is, and it's better
Yeah.
not to jump in. The thing is,
Quality is better than quantity, and like I said, there's going to be some in there in between. There's always somebody, and just they're not. This is just another waste of time. And actually, they're all going to be like another, like what Anne Marie said. Like these broken birds you got to fix all the time. And baby, it's like, just take a break from it, and then wait until summer, when and when more people are more, when more adults have more time off, and during that time of the year too. So you're bound to meet them, I think.
and also you have to remember that sometimes the worst time to look for love is when you're lonely,
Oh
because
yeah.
like attracts like, and loneliness often settles for less. When you're feeling good about yourself and feeling good about your life, you're more likely to attract somebody that has the same kind of fulfilled energy as you do. But if you're in a state of lonely neediness, what's going to happen is that you'll often pull in those broken winged birds that somehow are attracted to those people that will fix them. And because if you're lonely, you'll settle for anything rather than nothing. But as Joseph said, and as I'm saying, do not get yourself into something that is half baked. Better to wait. And I see a dark haired, dark eyed, hard worker with a mature personality coming in summer. Well,
Cool.
yeah. So we
This
have.
meditation will help to.
No, 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 no.
Oh, what's that? Is that the
Lana came
meditation?
by.
Oh, is that Lana?
Yeah, that was
Oh.
no, that was. It says it says Marie. Marie is from New York, and she says, "How are you guys?" And so hi, Anne Marie, as well as Joseph. How do you see my finances over the next 6 months? And this is Marie from New York.
Months, Marie. Well, oh my. Well, I do see that there is somebody actually too that I'm seeing. It almost seems like in the past you're looking out for somebody. You had somebody under your wing, and I don't know who that is, but it's a young person, a male maybe. But I do see that it's someone that you had also considered this all under your wing at some point. I do see yet it's still I think it's the same guy, or maybe it's another person, but I do see that I don't know. It almost seems like there's somebody who has a financial invitation for you that you should probably turn down. I do see something that's somebody who is very unlike this other person you've considered, or this is the flip side of it. This is also somebody who, attractive, well presented, but he's the page of cups, and he's upside down, and that cup is upside down, and so he's offering nothing at the present day. That's what I see.
Uh-oh.
So whenever something's hidden from you, and whenever you don't get the lowdown on something, or if you have to put money in and you don't know much about it, I would say, avoid, if there's anything about this you don't like, have an expert look at it. If that's what the question is, should you get involved in this? This card says no, you shouldn't. And actually it says that you got to watch out for people also in the future going after any kind of wealth you have. It seems like you're going to be a magnet for this sort of thing. Even if you don't have a wealth, it's amazing what people try to take from you. So, but you know what though? Avoid the high-risk projects. And that's the other thing I'm seeing here in the Ten of Pentacles and all along this 10-month period, or 10 weeks, say. I would say you're going to be it's going to be open season with scams and people who just want to take your money. So avoid fly-by-night. Only do tried and true, very good investments, things that are through your bank and stuff like that. All the standard things that have safeguards. Don't do anything weird, and don't do anything that's going to really leave you twisting in the wind. Don't do high risk at this time or over the next, say, 10 months. You shouldn't. Have an expert help you with all that instead. Yeah.
I might have something similar to that, but I don't know how to interpret it. First of all, I see February and March as being fairly stable.
Yeah.
I see April and May. April, cats. April
Cats.
as a month. I have things banging. I have cats running
Well,
around.
yeah, see, I see her as being stable. I see that her finances should be quite well. I mean, quite good. I don't see her
Yeah,
really, it
yeah.
doesn't show it. But I'm
So
just saying she's got to watch out because it's like open sea. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like they're going to be looking for you as
okay,
soon as they
okay, yeah.
come out of their wood.
So February and March I see as stable and good, and then for whatever reason I see April as a month where you need to be very cautious because something that you're doing that you thought would help you out or an investment that you're making financially in April, it says be very careful. But if it's something that's unexpected, like a car or a refrigerator breaking down, what can you do?
Yeah.
In May and June, you climb out of that funk and you're okay. Now, like Joseph, it says, watch out for somebody that may scam you and I have February, March, April, May, June, and July. June, it says there's somebody that may scam you that seems as if they have your best intentions at heart. But be very careful because it shows that in August, this person does not seem to be supportive of you. So again, you're doing fine, but watch out for somebody who seems unethical, who may be taking advantage of your money. I don't know whether it's a child. I don't know whether it's a lover. I don't know whether it's a salesman. But what it happens in, like I said, June and July. And that's what I have. And remember, the future is changeable according to your wise actions at all
Oh yeah,
times.
yeah. It's like for me, I always tell people that the cards are only showing like what's the probable outcome of what the current path you're on. Like this is
Right.
what's going to go. This is where this current actions are going to lead to if something doesn't change. you know.
Right.
And also, it's like whatever you're doing, keep it up if it's something good, because a lot of times it's like, yeah, it's going to work because you're working really hard and the cards keep showing it, so don't stop.
Right. Right.
So a lot of it's great. Depends on where you're at and where you see it heading. And sometimes if you just step back and look a bit
Oh, oh,
and
oh,
try to
oh,
try to
I'm so sorry.
predict, try to build on the equation and see where it's going, and you'll know what we mean.
We have Sue from
Yeah.
Pennsylvania, and she said, I ended a work relationship because of
Oh,
an abusive coworker. Oh, God, I hate those abusive coworkers.
oh God.
Who was in charge of many that she was aggressive to. So, do you see a new job in the works for me soon? Thank you both so very much. Thank you, Sue. And I'll give this over to.
Well, I do
Uh,
see that you have been very patient. There is temperance in your past and your influence. I see that you've always been adaptable. You've always been flexible. But this is something that you really this is this is a good way to be, and this is a great character trait in you. Wonderful to work with. That's what the cards tell me about you. I do see that I do see a possibility happening with a female boss or female supervisor. I do see that happening, and I do see that this is somebody who I do see somebody new being your supervisor, whether it be a different job or the same. I do see a changing here, and I do see a more of a nurturing type of personality, or it will seem like mom compared to this person that you were dealing with. But the thing is, I think I see that happening. Oh, I see that straightening out. Oh gosh, it looks like it's happening soon. I see this practical sort of matron kind Queen of Cups being in the present day. So I do see this being a big help to you, whether it's somebody in your personal life or a new supervisor. But I do see this being the high point of your present day very soon. Okay, so I think these problems are going to pass,
so
I
when I
believe.
look at it, um, what comes up for me, Sue, is that, as Joseph says, you have some very good qualities. And I
Mhm.
believe that you've been treated very unfairly And I also feel that there are some good work references following you.
Oh yeah.
So it is my projection into what I see that you will find work very soon. And it shows not only that it will be the best move that you have made. I'm shown in, it should come fairly soon. I have the number 4, which could mean it could be in 4 days or it could be in 4 weeks. Unfortunately, when we quit jobs, we have no unemployment. But
Mm-hmm.
it says that you should be, you're surrounded by appreciative people and
Right.
coworkers. And I feel that the most important thing seen here is you've learned a valuable lesson. You know, the
Yeah.
one thing that is so important in jobs is never tell your secrets to
Right.
anyone that is a power person that wants to gain your trust at a
Mm-hmm.
workplace, because the most manipulative thing that these people will do if they are aggressive is gain your trust,
Mm-hmm.
get you to tell your secrets, and then before you know it, your whole life is spilled out in front of everybody.
Right.
And you don't know where you stand anymore, and half the time you don't even understand why someone says, well, what do you think of so and so? And the next thing you know, you've spilled your guts and they're telling so and so. So
Yeah.
just be careful of these aggressive power people. They are just
Yeah.
so unpleasant, and
And
you've learned a powerful lesson.
don't be afraid to face them, you know, and if you think if you think they're going to be nice to you, if you become subservient in some way, you are mistaken. Even if you have to butt heads, that's what you do. And because these problems will not go away on their own. And you know, it's like the schoolyard bullies, you know, you're going to have them at work too. And once they start, it's like, how do you want these days to go here? And I do remember witnessing a shouting match between two people where I used to work many years ago. One of them was new, and I knew this person well, and the person she tangled with was somebody that had been there at this new place. I had just been there for 1 week. I hadn't been there 1 week, and I had to stick my nose in.
Hmm.
And oh no, I told her to leave the office and she wouldn't. And she kept baiting me to like touching her, like, you can't make me leave. And I wasn't going to lay a hand on her. And I wasn't going to use any profanities. I said, you're out of line. You have another employee backed into the corner of the room and in tears. You are in our office. You are disrupting our function. And you must leave now. And she threatened to go to a higher power. And I said, I think that's a very good idea. Let me know when the meeting is.
You know, I can remember
You know, so it was a very
yeah.
strange experience. But you know, you have to be cool, and you cannot use any naughty words at all whatsoever, and you really shouldn't raise your voice. And if you're going to scold someone, you tell them exactly what they're doing. You're being disrespectful. You're being unprofessional. You're being abusive. Yes, I'll be happy to have a discussion with your supervisor and mine. Make sure you're absolutely right, then shut up. You see, and that's what
You know,
you do.
and you know,
But
and you know,
and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to get canned for this. And I thought, no, you know what? I thought, if this is how it's going to be like, you know, it's like, this was my test. First week. And what's really funny is that the boss's secretary, the big head boss's secretary, overheard the shouting, came into our room, said, what on earth is going on? Then turned around on her heel and walked right out and pretended she saw nothing when I get involved in this at all. And she could have. But it was just like, you know what? But that's what we did. And you know what? Within 15 minutes, we were all making up and we were fine.
Yeah,
We had to. We had to make a point, and I said, look, when I see this happening to somebody, I'm going to step in. I said, even if it's you, because that's who I am, and I won't let you do this to someone I know, because that's totally unprofessional, and that's how I would treat everybody. And so we all got along fine, and I'll tell you, she never pulled that again either.
Yeah. Well, if you've ever noticed, if you're a very nice person, And have you ever noticed that if you walk around in a work environment treating everybody just very nicely and kindly, and then you look at the person over there that's kind of an asshole,
Mhm.
and they've got a flock of people around them, and they're not even being especially nice, but everybody is treating that person better than they're treating you. Well, first of all, if you're an empathic person and you're somebody that's very sensitive, a work environment can be detrimental because you're more inclined to do well in a self-employed situation or in an environment where you work alone. Um, there is, I think you're right, Joseph.
Well,
For
yeah, if you
years,
want to stay there, you just have to say, look, I am not going anywhere, and I'm not going to put up with this.
right. And I found that out.
So,
I found that out because I found that when I stopped being ultra nice to everybody, suddenly people were paying attention. People were treating me with more respect. So, yes, you want to treat people well. That is the
absolutely.
best thing to do in life.
Yes.
But when you are in a work environment, people can be very cutthroat and political. And the last
Mhm.
thing you want to do is be the underdog. And if you're
Right.
very, very nice, that's what will happen. Okay,
Yeah, and
we
actually,
have
you should keep your personal life to yourself, and this way, if you keep it out of everybody's business, it won't be everybody's business. And actually, your politics and any views you have that don't pertain to the job at all whatsoever, those are things that are personal things.
remember,
And
people
you
at
know,
work are not your real friends. They
no,
are
they're
your
not.
co-workers. So
I would say
stop
try to
treating them
make
like your
friends
best friends.
outside of work. Try to make
Yeah.
friends exist outside so that if jobs do change, your friends in life don't constantly change as well.
Right,
You know.
right. Well,
So
we
yeah,
have
something is stable.
okay, we have Brenda from Ohio. Brenda says, "Oh, well, I did not know you were on tonight. Would like
Oh,
to be in a romantic relationship. Is there anyone for me in the horizon?" For
oh Brenda,
Brenda.
gosh, that's a question.
Why don't you let me go first on this one?
Why don't you go first? Yeah, because I've
All
been
right.
going first. Yeah,
So,
lately.
Brenda from Ohio, here's what I see just to connect with you first on your love life. Oh, my dear honey. It says you've been extremely upset or in anxiety. I don't know if you broke up with somebody or if something else has you lonely and feeling upset. It says spiritually, I'm going to tell you, baby girl, this is not a good time for you to look for love. I'm shown that right now you're very upset about something. You've been in great anxiety. There's a sense that spiritually you're down. And it says if you look for love, you're more likely to find somebody impulsively and settle for less. I'm shown a better time for you to find love is in 3 months, which would be about April. If I look at what comes up in April, it says somebody who seems very caring, nurturing, somebody who is not going to disappoint you. And I show this person as the chariot, which can often indicate that this person may be a little bit controlling, but also seems to be somebody that has their act together. So don't look for love right now. I'm showing you upset, very upset about something, and I don't know what it is. Maybe just life, or maybe you broke up with somebody or haven't gotten over somebody. Look but wait for love until April when you feel better. And spring is coming, and I always say, April bring such a much better attitude in everybody, and I think it's just you'll feel better. What do you have, Joe?
Well, I have in her past the upside down magician. So that tells me that, oh, he's not worth it. And that situation blew up in your face, regardless of what you tried to do. You went about it wrong, and everything about it was just unrealistic, so just forget about it. It belongs in the past, and that's moving away from you now anyway. If it's still there, it's going away. I do see the Ace of Wands in your present day, and that is something that is a good time. It says it's a great time for you to be involved in a new project, but don't be looking for love. Now, it says anything's possible, but it says you're better off focusing not on love, but focusing on your high energy and creativity and being involved with a project. It does say this is a great time for you to be creative. And it says rather than focus on love at this point, work on this first. And then the other might follow, but don't expect it to. Just don't think about it, okay? Just work on this project and things happen, and just let it happen organically if it does. I do see that perhaps it could be someone in education, in medicine, or religion. I do see that that's kind of the ideal job for you, is some sort of one of these institutions where creativity is very much a part of, a very much welcome part of it, and also a part of perpetuating the idea of it. Like education, we all need the art teachers, like stuff like that. So I do see that happening for you. I do see somebody coming in who might be one of those types of people. If your question was about love, I do see that happening there. But as for the present day, stay with creativity, shift your focus off love, and that will happen by itself. Basically, it says don't try to make it happen. Just be involved in something else that you like instead for now. That's what
Sounds like a winner. You know, did you just hear about that little boy that got found in the North Carolina woods?
Oh, no.
He had been missing for 3 days.
Is he all right?
3 years old. And I just remember watching some guy on CNN. He'd been missing for three days, had no coat. It got to 20 degrees. He was found in a blueberry patch or a briar patch or something like that. And this guy's found him, and he heard this little voice. He was looking for the child. He was completely unrelated, and he heard a little voice say, "Mommy," and he went and looked, and in the briar patch was this little 3-year-old, and he only had one little scratch on his face, and he looked okay.
Well, holy cow. Well, that's good news.
You know what he said?
Isn't it?
He said he made friends with a bear. He said a bear was his friend, and he said that because of the bear that took care of him, he was okay.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because bears will attack people.
They will, but then again, I was thinking, aren't they hibernating right now?
It could be, or
could he have gotten into some kind of hibernation cave? A lot of times bears will birth while they're hibernating, and a little kid like that, who knows, maybe a mother bear would have seen it as another cub.
She's half asleep and wasn't paying
attention.
Doesn't know
it's like,
but that's amazing. That is amazing.
Come on in. But the kid was just fine.
Asleep.
So anyway, he said,
that's amazing.
Yeah. He came out just fine, and he was happy, and he was just in amazing shape. And they said they didn't know if he really did see a bear or what, but it sure did seem odd that he was in such good shape.
Maybe it was Bigfoot.
Maybe it was. I just saw today on what was it, History Channel, something like that they're saying maybe Bigfoot is an alien with abilities to cloak himself.
Well, he might have been a big, hairy hermit man. He might have been a guy that has that, what do you call this? There's an anomaly that some people have where you just grow hair all the time, all over your body, like Jojo, the dog-faced boy. I mean, It's like shaving doesn't help, It could have been
Whoops.
somebody that was sort of, you know, didn't want to be around people because maybe they got looked at too much, or were freaks, you know, in their head, or you know, were treated like freaks and decided to live away from people. And maybe that's what Bigfoot is, for all I
Yeah,
know. You
it
know,
could be. And
it could be just
it's
some tall, large, unusual person, or it could be some unusual kind of thing we don't know about yet. You know.
yeah. We have so much to discover yet. We are only on the tip of discovery in so many things.
Yeah. You
And
know,
you
because
know,
they can't seem to get a picture of it, though. That's the problem. And what we do see are blurred shots,
blurred shots.
and what
But
we any footage that is known is usually like, well, it's controversial and it's not official, and
well, the story
it
that
doesn't
was
look
told
right,
on
you know.
the
Yeah.
story that was told on CNN or on this History Channel was that this woman said her husband was out in the woods and a spaceship or some kind of spacecraft landed,
Mm.
and this large hairy creature 10 foot tall came out of it, didn't even notice the guy, and then 2 days after that he saw that there was mass slaughterings of animals in which they were, unusually, where they find those slaughterings and they're
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and
Those,
and then
well, you know, that's just, yeah, that is very weird. That's like surgical. That is disturbing, and man, I heard about it on one of these shows I was watching. It might have been one of these UFO files, or I think it might
yeah,
have been one of those declassified things, and it is a real mystery. It's like, what on earth would do that? Who on earth would do that? What purpose to remove these organs and surgically in the way, in the manner
hmm
that they did, the farm animals and these? That is what you're talking about, right? The
yeah.
mutilation.
Well, a lot of people,
Yeah,
yeah. So anyway, they're
yeah,
saying
very
that this
odd.
guy
Yeah.
said that he had this experience, swore by it, and then the 2 days after that, he said there were all these mass um, slaughtering, strange slaughterings of almost, um, you know, eyeballs taken out and tongues
Oh,
being taken out, but not anything that would seem to be constructive to a feast for an animal.
yeah,
So
yeah.
anyway, that was just one thing about Bigfoot. But what I was going to add about the child that was found in North Carolina is that the cop said, in that woods, he said, anybody, especially a 3-year-old child, could easily be dinner for a coyote,
Oh, absolutely.
bear, wolf.
Yeah.
And the fact that he even survived was an absolute miracle.
I think
So it
that's
was just,
amazing. I'll bet those
yes.
parents were overjoyed, you
Oh,
know.
yeah. Yeah.
They probably wouldn't have believed it was possible at that point, which is
Um,
just amazing. I'll bet that was quite a day for them to be reunited.
Joseph, do you
Yeah.
want to end our show with your
Oh,
blessing?
sure. Okay.
Okay.
The way we start our day, or the way we end our day, and you stand in front of a mirror or not in a dim room and close your eyes and you take a breath and you say, I bring the cosmic forces into my body or being, asking for strength, protection, and guidance on the exhale. So that's, I bring the cosmic forces into my body, asking for strength, protection, and guidance. I bring the cosmic forces into my body, asking for strength, protection, and guidance. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that is the ancient way of saying
Bye-bye.
bye bye.
See you next week, Joseph.
Thanks. Bye bye. See ya.
Hi, this is Anne Marie.